Hey friends, Ash here with Gents with another fragrance review. Today I'm looking at a big release from Viktor and Rolf. It's one that a lot of people love. It's been hyped up for years now. It's this fragrance, Spicebomb Extreme. Amazingly, I haven't done a review of any of the Spicebomb line up to this point. Today I'm going to change that by taking a look at probably the most popular release of the entire line. We're going to check out the presentation like usual, then I'll break this fragrance down, let you know what I think about it, and let you know whether I think it's worth the hype or not. So let's go ahead and jump into this. First off, the presentation. Here you've got the box, Spicebomb Extreme, size and concentration down at the bottom. You've got the Viktor and Rolf logo at the top of the box, these little stripes that go around on either side, and on the back just a whole mess of information including the ingredients. And then on the bottom you've got your badge code printed on the box right there. Bottle is done in your typical Spicebomb design where it looks like a hand grenade with a little Viktor and Rolf pin that you pull right there. On this metal band that goes around the middle of the bottle, you've got the name of the fragrance. And then on the bottom, your sticker with your badge code. A lot of people might call the Spicebomb bottles tacky or cheesy because of that grenade-like look, but personally, I like them. And one thing I need to let you guys know before I go any further, this was actually sent to me for review by perfume.com. They sell authentic fragrances, both niche and designer. Their shipping is really quick, and everything that they sell is completely authentic. So I want to thank them for sending this to me for review, but as usual, it has absolutely no effect on my opinion of the fragrance. Spicebomb Extreme opens basically how you would expect it to open, since the name of the fragrance is Spicebomb Extreme. It opens with a big blast of spice and pepper. It's tempered a little bit by a grapefruit note, but that grapefruit note sits underneath the spice and pepper, and the grapefruit is never really a big note in the fragrance. It's not something you're going to remember. It's basically just used to offset some of the spiciness in the opening. You might say that that grapefruit note is lurking underneath a spice bomb. I apologize for that. If I flop this around, it's gonna make this noise the entire video, so I'm taking that off. You pick up cinnamon extremely early on in the life of Spicebomb Extreme, which is something that this shares with the original Spicebomb. And cinnamon is going to be one of the stars of the show here. It lasts for basically the entire life of the scent. And one thing that I would say about Spicebomb Extreme is don't judge it immediately off of the opening. That big initial hit of spices and pepper can turn some people off. I mean, the name of the fragrance is Spicebomb, so it really shouldn't surprise you that you get hit with a big blast of spice off the bat, but some people have written this off just based off the opening. If spices and pepper isn't your thing, you need to let this one settle down a little bit. The dry down is where it's at with this fragrance, and the dry down is the most important part of almost any fragrance. You do pick up a little bit of cumin in this scent, though if you're not really familiar with the scent of cumin, it may just pass you by and you may not even notice that it's there because of the blend of spices going on in this scent. To me, the cumin is not at all overdone. It works nicely in this fragrance, and the only real reason that I bring up cumin at all is because cumin can sometimes come across like body odor or sweat. Some people are more sensitive to the smell of cumin than others, but to me, I get 0% body odor, 0% sweat. The cumin does not come across strongly. It's just a part of a larger, warm, spicy blend in the fragrance. So do not be afraid of the cumin note in this fragrance at all. Also mixed in with all the other spices is a subtle touch of saffron, which you'll catch just little semi-sweet wafts of that peeking out through all the other more prominent, more powerful spicy notes. It's just kind of there mingling with the pepper, pimento, cinnamon mix. And as Spicebomb Extreme hits the dry down, that's where the magic really happens with this one, in my opinion. Because in the dry down, one of my most favorite notes of all time really starts to shine, and that note is vanilla. Yes, vanilla, which is sometimes a little bit simple or basic, but here it smells really nice. It's a dark vanilla note that's rich, dense, sweet, even a little bit powdery, just a touch. And it mixes, of course, with tobacco, which is one of the main notes in Spicebomb, and that is one of the main notes here as well. And it is that mix of vanilla and tobacco with the spices from the opening playing kind of a complementary role to those two notes that really makes this fragrance awesome. There's also some labdanum in the base of this scent, which more than anything just gives it kind of a deep ambery base that envelops the tobacco and vanilla and the spices. It helps to highlight more than anything the vanilla and the tobacco. It also lends just a small creamy nuance in the dry down of the scent that just helps elevate it that much further. Spicebomb Extreme to me is one of the very few flankers that takes an original fragrance, makes slight changes, slight tweaks to the original DNA, and actually comes out a better fragrance because of it. Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, when a fragrance company takes an original fragrance and then changes it to an intense or extreme or whatever, any kind of flanker really, where they just make a couple changes, change some of the nuances of the original, it falls flat. Sometimes those tiny subtle changes can completely ruin what made the original fragrance great or nice to begin with. And other times those changes just make the fragrance redundant because it's not different enough, it doesn't change enough to really stand apart from the original and ends up being forgotten. And while Spicebomb Extreme definitely has overlap with the original Spicebomb, I would say that if you put them up against each other 1v1 and you can only own either Spicebomb, the OG, or Spicebomb Extreme, you should go with Spicebomb Extreme. It's almost a little bit strange that this is called Spicebomb Extreme when you really think about it, because when you compare this to the original, the spiciness here is actually toned down a little bit. It's less aggressive. And this one is a little bit sweeter than the original Spicebomb. So they took the aggressiveness of that spice and dialed it down, and they upped the sweetness and then called it Extreme. Either way though, it's a great scent. Spicebomb Extreme is going to be a fantastic fragrance for wear in fall and winter. For me personally, because of where I live, it does lean much more toward winter wear though. For fall, it's a fragrance I would wear more so when the temperature starts to drop. Now, where I live currently, in September, we're still dealing with 90+ degree temperatures Fahrenheit. So Celsius, it's still 32, 33, 34 right now. And with temperatures like that, I don't really want to reach for this one right now. That's why this was not on my fall top 10 list. It's being saved for winter, for cooler weather. Maybe more so when we start heading into November. But depending on where you live, in early fall, like right now, it may be cool enough that you could pull this one off. But again, that's going to depend on where you live and the average temperature. You can tell by the name of the fragrance, but this has a lot of spicy notes, tobacco, vanilla, labdanum. So this is not really something I would reach for in high heat at all. So just me personally, spring, summer, this one, no go. Between day or night wear, this one leans more toward night, but this is not a fragrance that I would pigeonhole into only being a nighttime fragrance. You can wear it during the day as well, as long as the temperature works with it. Basically, if it's gloomy or windy outside or snowing or icy, the leaves are already falling off the trees, or maybe it's in winter, it's looking dreary, very cold out, this is a killer, absolutely. And to an extent, this fragrance, with its blended up spice mix and that vanilla tobacco combo, reminds me a little bit of Christmas time. Maybe not to the extent of something like Burberry London, but still, it's a fragrance that makes me think of the holidays a little bit. Once Spicebomb Extreme settles into the dry down, it's a perfect choice for cozying up with a special somebody under a blanket when it's cold outside, or maybe cozying up next to a fireplace. Assuming that you still have a fireplace, because those are getting rarer and rarer. But those are some perfect times to wear this fragrance. And if you're worried that maybe it wouldn't be a compliment getter, again, because of the tobacco and the big hit of spice, don't worry about that, because Spicebomb Extreme, like the original Spicebomb, compliment magnet. And I would say that Spicebomb Extreme actually is more of a compliment magnet than the original. And that's because of the changes between this one and the original that I talked about before, the dialed back aggressiveness of the spice and the amped up sweetness because of that dose of vanilla. Performance on this, fantastic, like you would expect. Longevity, 8+ hours, no issues. Projection, very good for the first 2.5 hours or so off my skin. Over the years, I've seen some people complain about this one and say that they got 2-3 hours of longevity with 30 minutes of projection. Assuming that they're not talking about a fake, that they bought a fake and are just oblivious, honestly, I have no clue what they're talking about. Spicebomb Extreme was only released in 2015. I highly doubt that it's been reformulated at this point. And honestly, most of the time, if we're being real, reformulations don't have that drastic of an effect. A lot of times, people are just very paranoid. People are paranoid that they got a bad batch or something, like their one bottle is the only bottle out of millions that has bad performance and everybody else has great performance. Or it's somebody that's newer into fragrances and they think that they should be smelling the fragrance radiating off them 100% of the time. As if every single breath they take, they should get a big whiff of Spicebomb Extreme. But that's not really how fragrances work. They're kind of like your nose. It's always there right in front of you, but you don't see it. Yeah, there it is. You're constantly breathing and smelling throughout the day, and eventually your brain starts to tune out the fragrance that you're wearing. So yeah, you're not gonna be catching enormous whiffs of that fragrance throughout the day, but it's still there. And all the people around you can definitely smell this one. So if you're newer, don't be paranoid, don't be freaking out. The fragrance is still there, unless you did buy a fake, and now you're gonna be paranoid about that. One thing about Viktor and Rolf fragrances is that they're very expensive at retail. Spicebomb Extreme goes for $120 US for this size, which is 3 ounces or 90 milliliters, which is a little bit smaller than your typical 100 milliliter size. That is not cheap. And as well, Viktor and Rolf fragrances typically don't get heavily discounted either. This is not one of those brands where it retails for $100, but then you can find it for $20 at a discounter. That does not happen. As of this video, you can find this on perfume.com for under $100. So while that's not cheap, that's probably gonna be your best bet. Save yourself at least a little bit of cash if you're looking to pick this up. And if you've never smelled this and you like spice, vanilla, tobacco type fragrances, you have to smell this. It is a must try. Wonderful stuff. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me and Spicebomb Extreme. If you have smelled this fragrance, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And in your opinion, is this the best Spicebomb? I'm sure that most of you will say that this is better than Night Vision, and I think that most of you prefer this to the original as well, because I definitely do. Not that there's anything wrong with the original. Night Vision we can talk about at a different time. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys again next time. See you guys.